Welcome, my dear students, to yet another session of chapter number 13, that is Why Do We Fall Ill? And today is our seventh session of this chapter. In our previous sessions, we studied about health and its failure in detail. We also learnt about diseases and its causes. Under this, we studied about what does disease look like, acute and chronic diseases and poor health, causes of diseases, and infectious and non-infectious causes of diseases. In today's session, we are going to discuss about infectious diseases, in which we are going to focus about infectious agents and different modes of spread of diseases. So let us begin with infectious diseases, in which we will first discuss about infectious agents. Organisms that can cause diseases are found in wide range of such categories of classification like nematodes, some protozoans, some insects. Some of these infectious agents which causes diseases in us belong to the category of viruses, while some belongs to bacteria. Some belong to the category of fungi, and some are single-celled animals or protozoans. So there is a wide variety of living organisms which causes diseases in us. Here is an example of picture of SARS virus coming out of the surface of an infected cell. The white scale line represents 500 nanometers, which is half a micrometer, which is 1,000th of the millimeter. So here this much of data is given to just to make you realize about the size of this virus. And this picture is given in your textbook, and this is a picture of SARS virus. Just next to this there is a picture of other viruses which belong to the category of SARS. And nowadays you see that the COVID virus is also there, and this virus also belongs to the category of SARS only. Now in this slide you can see the picture of Staphylococci. This is a bacteria. Coccus means round, and if you will focus on the name of this bacteria, it is Staphylococci, means its shape is round shape, and this is a bacteria which causes acne. The scale of the image is indicated by the line at top left, which is 5 micrometers long. So these all are microbes which are very small in size. On the other side also you can see a colorful picture of Staphylococcus bacteria. Now in this slide you can see the picture of Trypanosoma, which is a protozoan organism, and it is responsible for sleeping sickness disease. The organism is laying next to the saucer shaped red blood cell to give an idea of the scale. So here we are not measuring it. You can easily compare the size of this Trypanosoma with the RBC size. Here in other pictures also you can see the colorful picture of Trypanosoma, which causes sleeping sickness disease, and this disease is very common in African countries. Here in this slide you can see the picture of Leishmania, the protozoan organism which causes a disease known as Kala Azar. The organisms are oval shaped and each has one long whip-like structure. One organism is dividing in this diagram, while a cell of the immune system, which is shown as a lower right side, has gripped on the two whips of the dividing organism and is sending cell processes up to eat up the organism. So here the picture is shown that, just to make give you some idea about that how these cells divide and how these cells engulf other cells, etc. Here on the other side you can see a clear cut picture of Leishmania. Here in this diagram you can see, and Leishmania causes a Kala Azar disease, and which in which your sand fly, which is also known as fruit fly, act as a vector of this disease. And the host of the disease is mammals, and it can be animal also, and there is a very long life cycle of this disease causing organism. Now here in this slide you can see the picture of an adult roundworm, which is also known as Ascaris lumbicoides, and this is the scientific name of this living organism, and it generally grows in a small intestine, or it can reach up to the any part of intestine, and the ruler next to it shows 4 centimeters to give us an idea about the scale. On the other side also you can see the picture of Ascaris. Here you can easily see the tail part is slightly curved. This Ascaris is a parasite which lives in our intestine, and there it causes so much of damage to the intestinal walls by making wounds on the wall of intestine. As a result of this wound, blood comes out from the wall of intestine and it causes severe abnormalities in a host. Now, common examples of diseases caused by viruses are cold virus, or the virus which causes cold in us, influenza virus, dengue fever, and AIDS. Diseases caused by bacteria are typhoid fever, cholera, tuberculosis, and anthrax. Here the pictures of all these are shown one by one. Here this red picture is a picture of a Salmonella typhi, which is a causative agent of typhoid fever, whereas this one is a causative agent of cholera and its scientific name is Vibrio cholerae. And this particular diagram is showing the image of tuberculosis bacteria, that is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and here you can see the image of bacteria which causes anthrax in us. Now, there are certain other types of diseases which can be caused by different types of funguses. These funguses create some fungal infection in our skin, and there are different types of such fungal infections. These can be athlete's foot, yeast infection, ringworm, nail fungus, oral thrush, or diaper rash in children. There are certain types of diseases which are caused by protozoan microbes. These can be malaria or Kala Azar disease. Children malaria is very well known nowadays because in most of the places so many people every year suffer with malaria. And malaria is a vector-borne disease where a mosquito acts as a vector of this disease. And the causative agent of the disease is a protozoan which is known as Plasmodium. Here in this slide you can see the picture of Plasmodium vivax here. This is a diagram of Plasmodium vivax, which is a protozoan, and in this diagram you can see that this Plasmodium vivax has two hosts, mosquito and human being. So when it is in human being, it causes malaria disease in us. Similarly, we have another type of example which is Kala Azar, which is caused by Leishmania, and here also it is a vector-borne disease where sandfly act as a vector of the disease and the host is human being, and it has so many types of species which causes this Kala Azar disease, that is Leishmania donovani, Leishmania infantum, Leishmania chagassi, and Leishmania major, Leishmania tropica. And out of these, Leishmania donovani is a very common species which causes Kala Azar disease. Intestinal worm infections and diseases like elephantiasis caused by different species of worms. In this particular disease, one of the leg of patient becomes swollen. The nerve of the leg is swollen and it looks like an elephant's leg. That is why this disease name is like this. And in this also, the causative agent is Vaucheria, which is a microorganism. And here also it is host specific disease, and here vector is also involved. Now there is one question, that is, why is it important that we think of these categories of infectious agents? Now the answer for this question is, these categories are important factors in deciding that what kind of treatment we should use for that particular type of disease. Suppose it is an infection of a virus in a patient, in any person. In that case, we will give treatment to that patient who is suffering with a viral disease with some different type of medications. Whereas in case of a patient who is suffering with protozoan disease or some fungal infection in the skin, in that categories, the treatment for the fungal infection will be different. So, if the causative agent of the diseases are different, then accordingly the treatment of the disease will also be different. Members of each one of these groups have many biological characteristics in common. All viruses live inside the host cells, whereas bacteria very rarely do it. Viruses, bacteria, and fungi multiply very quickly, while worms multiply very slowly. Taxonomically, all bacteria are closely related to each other than to viruses and vice versa. Many important life processes are similar in bacteria group, but these life processes are absent in viruses group. So there is a wide range of causative organisms which belong to different groups. So their body structure or their working process is totally different. Of this property, drugs that block one of these like processes in one member of the group is likely to be effective against many other members of the same group. Children, here it is very important to understand the meaning of this statement. Drug word is used here. That drug is nothing, just a chemical which acts as a medicine. So how does this drug works, that we are going to discuss now only? By blocking some of its pathways. And it blocks the pathways in such a way that the bacteria or the causative agent is not able to grow itself in the host. So if there is one drug which is blocking one of these like means same processes in one member of the group, one member means any one bacteria of a same group, that means that same drug will kill the other member of the same group. Say for example, there is a group A, which is a group of bacteria, certain type of bacteria. In that group there are two different subtypes, 1 and 2. If a drug or a medicine is able to kill the bacteria of one type, then it will also be able to kill the bacteria of two type. Why? It is because the chemical composition and the working process of both the bacteria will be almost similar. But the same drug will not work against the microbe which is belonging to the different group. Now to elaborate this more, I have taken an example here. Antibiotics block chemical pathways important for bacteria. Antibiotics means when you suffer with some bacterial infection, doctor suggests you or prescribe you some antibiotics. That antibiotics are the chemical which are able to kill the bacteria. But how they are able to kill the bacteria? Actually, there is a very crucial process there. And this is not only a single process. There are different channels through which these chemicals, which are antibiotic, stop the activity of bacteria. One example is taken here, that is by blocking the biochemical pathways. When certain medicine blocks the biochemical pathway of a bacteria, the bacteria is not able to synthesize its cell wall. Children, you have already studied about this, that bacteria have a cell wall around them. If some chemical compound is not enabling these bacteria to make their own cell wall, in that condition this bacteria will not be able to survive. And that is how these antibiotic works against these bacteria. Let us take one more example here. Antibiotic penicillin is very common. So this penicillin blocks the bacterial processes that makes the cell wall of the bacteria. When this antibiotic is used, the growing bacteria become unable to make cell wall or synthesize its cell wall and die very easily. There can be, it is not always that antibiotics are just enabling these bacteria by not allowing them to make their cell wall. There are different ways by which antibiotics work on these bacteria. Human cells don't make cell wall anyway. So, penicillin cannot have such an effect on any bacteria that use such processes for making cell walls. Many antibiotics work against many species of bacteria rather than simply working against one bacteria. So, the meaning of this statement is that a group of antibiotic or an antibiotic can work against a group of bacteria. It is not compulsory that it will work against only one bacteria. It can work against different types of bacteria which belong to the same group or same category. But in case of viruses, the condition is totally different, because these viruses do not use these pathways at all. And that is the reason why antibiotics do not work against viral infections. Actually, the composition or the structure of bacteria and viruses are different. So the working process in bacteria and viruses will also be different. If we have a common cold, taking antibiotic does not reduce the severity or duration of the disease. But if we get bacterial and viral infections both altogether, taking antibiotic will help us up to certain way. Even then, the antibiotic will work only against the bacterial infection, not for the viral infection. So children, now there are some questions for you. You have to write down the answers of these questions in your notebook. And the first question is, find out how many of your relatives had cold, cough or fever recently. So you have to call your relatives over phone and you have to find out that how many of your relatives had cold, cough and fever recently. Then the next question is related to the first question. So it is very important to take the data first. Second question is, how long did the illness last? And the third one is, how many of them took the antibiotics? And the next question is, how long were those who didn't take antibiotics ill? And the last question is there a difference between those two groups of people or relatives, those who took antibiotic and those who did not take antibiotics at all? If yes, then why? And if not, then why? Thank you.